Now we're back. Just awkward pause.
One last time. This is our final episode ever of Hyperspace Hype. We're done Star Wars. Moving on to Star Trek next year, right, Nathan?
Yeah, we wanted to leave it out on an even 103.
Perfectly even, as all things should be. Exactly.
Oh man, you look crunchy, my guy.
I do? My camera?
Yeah, you're very crunchy. The audio is kind of getting there too.
Oh, it's so weird.
Is it a
Everything
connection
else?
issue?
No. Let me come back in and come back. Maybe that was it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hate doing this. I hate having improv while he's not here. But I mean, hey, welcome back to episode number 103, Hyperspace Hype. We will be covering a multitude of not too many, not really. It's just a chill little stream at the end of the year, just to talk Star Wars one last time in the year of our Star Lords of 2023. We're just going to be covering a few topics. Rumored that Mando season 4 might be a movie. Adam Driver had some interesting comments about the story progression of Kylo Ren initially before things turned out the way it did. Also, the fact that David Filoni is potentially taking a creative leadership behind Lucasfilm, and we're going to be talking about our favorite moments in general from 2023. That includes The Bad Batch, The Mandalorian Season 3, the Ahsoka series, Jedi Survivor that we played. Whatever came out this year in Star Wars, we're going to be talking about it. So please stick around. It's going to be a fun one.
Hey, look. How's it going?
That's better. He's back.
Back. The champ is
Somehow, Evans returned.
Oh gosh, sorry about that. But yeah, I'm excited because this was a solid year of Star Wars. You know me, especially publishing wise, the High Republic continues to be one of my favorite things to read, to talk about for Star Wars. But even in the media, we had some interesting things. Some things I loved more than the others. But yeah, we had a lot of interesting Star Wars like content. I hate saying that word, but you know. Like Mando season 3 was what it was. Ahsoka was what it was. Bad Batch was this year, which is Nathan talked about earlier, which was insane to think about because it seems so far away. But you know, we always do. There's always like what 20 something episodes, maybe 16, I think, something episodes of Bad Batch.
Yeah.
And we did episodes like for nearly everyone. Sometimes we doubled up. But it's always so much fun covering Bad Batch, and I can't wait to cover what might be the last season in season 3. We thought season 2 was going to be the final season.
We
was it we or one of us did? Was it me?
I never think things are over until they're over. Until they're explicitly like the series finale.
Exactly. I mean, I think I was hoping that it wouldn't be because we were nearing the end. I'm like, I could see where they end things off because they kind of like wrote themselves into a out with that whole like here's
Paradise.
this planet. Yeah, here what's it called again? Do you know? I thought
Tolerant. No, okay.
But yeah, like they wrote themselves into this area where like there's this world where they can live in peace, but then you know, finale happens, chaos happens, and that's definitely not the case. So yeah, there's a lot of episodes I want to talk about for that. But then we had again like Ahsoka, and then Visions as well. So and together, Nathan and I, we played we played Jedi Survivor, which was also this year, which was a big return for the Jedi franchise at EA, which was fun to play and watch and experience. So it's been a fun year. It's been a great year.
Evan, do you remember when I was in my Star Wars depression era?
What was that, 2019?
So 2019 to 2021. I was like, oh yeah, I like the Bad Batch, but the war's gonna start up again. These characters will never know peace. What am I doing here? I was going through it.
Yeah, it was rough. I've had that like phase in Star Wars. I'm just like, if the movies or the shows are never going to touch on like how there's a cyclical nature of violence and keep ending up in the same space, and the Bad Batch are going to be fine. In a couple of years, there's the original trilogy war, and then there's a sequel trilogy war, and you know the way that ends is never really they didn't really tie it up on a bow in my end. So it's like, is there going to be more violence? And now we have the new movie coming out, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. It's chaos. But yeah, overall, this was a fun year in Star Wars. And yeah, but I think we start with some of the news that we have not been able to talk about since our last, Star Wars episodes was, I think, nearing the end of November with Ahsoka. And that is that your pal, your friend, the one, the only, Dave Filoni, your father, Dave Filoni. No,
you're talking about the legend, the myth. Who don't want to select for this joke? Shit! Oh, I timed out. Right out of time. Survey says. Ebony has a chance to steal.
Survey says we should really do a podcast, Family Feud or something.
Do a Star Wars Family Feud easy. We surveyed the group chat. Top 8 answers on the board.
That would be really fun. I would love to do like a podcast, Family Feud stuff. Anyways, Dave Filoni.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, continue.
The psychotic nature of like a studio audience reading the Star Wars answers, like, all right, top 8 glove shittos, and then revealing the answers. Fucking Quadranero. Fortuna.
That could be a thing they do, like at a celebration, right? Like a celebration has a huge crowd. Oh yeah. I don't know how it would work.
Elliot on that for sure.
You know what?
DJ Elliott?
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. And I don't know how it'll work. I think technology these days, you could survey a crowd. Probably, you know how they do those fucking lines all the time. Survey the crowd while they're in the lines. Once they get inside, select a couple people to go up and then answer the questions using what the people had answered while they were waiting in line.
Oh, you could easily have Andy and Anthony just like popping up to people chilling in line, bring a camera around, just walking around the convention. You could do that.
Exactly. Yeah. Come on, Star Wars Celebration 2025. Operation Get Nathan to Japan. Let's make it happen. We have 2 fucking years. 2 years. Not anymore. We have 1 year. It's a year and a half. What is it? April 2020 or August? I don't know what it is.
1 1/3.
1 1/3. We'll make it happen.
We have a Lion King 1 1/2.
We have the technology. But yeah. What I was going to say is that Dave Filoni is now the head of Lucasfilm. Kathleen Kennedy is out. Shit.
I'm out.
I'm kidding. No.
You revealed, but
as much as people on the internet would like that to happen, we'll probably still think that is happening because Kathleen Kennedy is probably still on her way out. My prediction, she wants to get that first movie out there in 2025, and then she might call it quits.
I'm still living in the era where I'm still, to this day, hearing people be like, oh, Kathleen Kennedy never cared about the franchise, rushing in episode 7, but Rogue One was pretty good, but then she came back and fucked it all out, as if she had no involvement in Rogue One.
She had involvement in everything, everywhere, all at once. And yeah, as much people like to think that, well, whenever she retires, because she's like, what, 60, 70 maybe? I don't know how old. She can't be that old. I'll look it up real quick.
Older, I mean.
What is she? 70 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
I think looking great for 70. I think whenever she retires, people are still going to say she got fired, which is ridiculous. I think Iger and her are going to. I think I was reading somewhere, maybe I forget, it was somewhere this year that Iger is probably going to retire within the next 2 to 3 as well. I just think. No, God. Kevin Feige is not going to want that job. But I think Iger and I wouldn't be surprised if Iger and Kennedy both leave in 2025. I don't think Iger's going to have to do with the new movie, but I think for Kennedy, it's going to have to do with the new movie. But anyways, our topic of the day is that Dave Filoni is now the head of the creative head, basically, of Lucasfilm now. He'll be working. Let me pull up the article because I had to remember it. I think he'd be working side by side with Carrie Beck. Let's see here. Yeah, he's now the chief creative officer. That's the title, not creative head. Chief creative officer of Lucasfilm, which places him in development process much earlier in the process in a more expansive capacity than his previous adversary duties. Because in the past he worked on a lot of projects that he would just be brought into. He would see it after it had already been developed in a good way. Filoni comments here. One such example I could think of is when he was brought on to Last Jedi. That's my favorite movie. I know all about that movie. And Rian Johnson talked about how he would collaborate with Dave Filoni on certain lore aspects, stuff like that. Of course, Dave Filoni isn't changing Ryan's mind in terms of where Luke goes in the movie, where Rey and Kylo go in the movie. Obviously, it's his movie. It's still Ryan's movie, but Dave is there to keep everything in track in terms of lore. And of course, Ryan was notorious for actually working with the Lucasfilm, moving to LA to work closely with the story group for The Last Jedi. And then continuing on, Filoni would now work directly more with, of course, Kathleen Kennedy and Carrie Beck, who is still the veteran producer and head of development at Lucasfilm. So he will originate and shepherd the next generation of Star Wars shows and movies. After spending many years involved in the creation of Star Wars animation, including Rebels and the Clone Wars, he worked alongside Favreau to help spearhead Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and other such projects. He said, "I'm planning to future what we're doing now. I'm involved at the inception phase." Insert Leonardo DiCaprio. Just kidding. Get it, Inception. Anyways, I think the most interesting part about all this is I don't think I had a funny comment when this got reviewed. I was like, oh no, this guy is falling. It was a joke. We're not doomed. Even though I'm not the most enthusiastic about Filoni on the writing sense of the word, of the written pen per se. When it comes to his live action shows, I think those have been very hit and miss in terms of the dialogue and character exchanges and just the overall arcs of certain characters on the live action end of things. Because I totally adore Rebels, one of my favorite Star Wars projects ever. But his writing has been hit and miss. That being said, the most interesting part about all this is that he'll be involved in the inception phase of new shows and movies. Because Dave Filoni is a creative genius, but I'm kind of curious about what these new shows and projects will be. We already have our 3 confirmed movies in, I forget her name, but the person who was involved with Miss Marvel, Abeid Chenoy. She's doing the 2025 Rey movie. And then 2027 and 2029, we have the Dawn of the Jedi with Logan director, I forget his name now.
Mangold.
Yes, Mangold. And then the Filoni movie, his own movie, coming out one of those 2 years as well, 2027 or 2029. Those 3 movies aside, we have a pretty good roadmap for movies, but not for shows. And I think Dave Filoni is going to be involved with the next phase of our Star Wars shows. Because after Andor Season 2, basically it's 2024, after Andor Season 2, after Acolyte, actually Andor's not coming out next year anymore. But anyways, after Andor, after Acolyte, after Skeleton Crew, we don't know what our next crop of Star Wars shows is going to be outside of the possible Mando continual season renewals. Maybe a Acolyte Season 2, a Mando Season 5, or I don't know if Skeleton Crew is getting additional seasons, but we don't know what our next original show is going to be. I think that's when Filoni might come in, and that's when we might be seeing something different from Lucasfilm. I think right now, Acolyte is the only big brand new show that's been from the ground up a brand new show. It's not based off of a character name like Andor. It's not a Kenobi thing. It's not a Yoda or a Book of Boba Fett. It's a brand new show in Acolyte. Skeleton Crew based off of it's original. It's based off of the Mando verse. So I'm very curious to see what kind of creative mind Filoni might have for the inception of new shows. That's where I can get a little bit worried. I don't know if he's going to be digging deep in the past. I don't know if he's going to be digging somewhere outside of Skywalker Saga. I'm not sure, actually. I just don't know. But I think that's where we'll get to see how Filoni is going to be in terms of his creative role. Because I don't think right now we're going to feel a difference for the next couple of years. But after that, in terms of like new shows, new movies, we might be like, oh, this is the Filoni thing. Or we might not. I'm not sure. It's kind of wide open. But yeah, for right now, I don't think we're all doom and gloom. Because he's not writing anything. He's just consulting. But yeah, what do you think about all this? Are you doom and gloom? Are you fire the red button, the alarm, the klaxon alarm?
I'm firing the click play episode.
Yeah.
Because that's our era. That's where we live. Pandemic ruined us, baby. Let's go.
Continue watching. Move on to the next episode.
Yeah. Skip intro? No. Maybe. I felt bad. I skipped the Monarch intro, even though it's good.
It's fine. It's okay.
I really dig the vibes of it and the sound, but
I don't skip it either. Yeah.
But I'm also like I need to watch this episode. We need to talk about it on the pod. No, I don't feel bad about it. I've never been a Filoni hater. And also to this next point, I'm not a Favreau hater either, but I have noticed I liked Filoni's live action writing more so in Ahsoka, where he's more just the solo act handling the scripts and story as opposed to teaming up with John on Mando and stuff. So for his specific projects, I am very much open to it because again, he's been proven himself again and again in animation with Clone Wars and Rebels, and again, Rebels is probably our favorite thing next to Last Jedi.
Peak.
So yeah, it's not at all an issue for me. I was wondering even while we were having this discussion if maybe the disconnect we're feeling in regards to these shows at times maybe is because we've talked about it before that like they are leaning heavily into like the serial style format that Star Wars was already based off of to begin with. But I wonder if with what Star Wars is, because when it was based on that, they were still doing it in a theatrical runtime style. So it was still like a tight adventure that you're tuning into. True. Versus the bits and pieces of adventure, like a literal serial that they're doing in the modern day on Disney Plus. I wonder if there's just a disconnect with the different forms of adaptation being like too faithful that it's not working, or being how they did it back starting in the 70s, and the small movie installments were a better click. I don't know. It's to each their own, really.
I see what you're saying there. A couple of things there. First of all, this was a very good year, perfect for our episode today, about like discussing the difference between Favreau and Filoni. Favreau, who had a bit more control than Filoni on Mando season 3. And then Ahsoka, which was all from Dave Filoni himself. And we definitely saw two different writing styles there. I think while I have some qualms with the latter half of Ahsoka and the character journeys there, I did, enjoy myself more with Ahsoka than I ever did with Mando season 3, which, we did episodes about each episode of Mando season 3. There were some things to love, some things not to love. We always say for Favreau, we can see the mythological influences there. Mando had a big, hero's journey, etc. stuff going on here in Mando season 3 about rebirth, renewal. They got Mandalore back. The arc that they got for Bo-Katan is kind of emblematic of that as well. But there was a lot of just messiness in terms of the structure. And the same thing in terms of structure for Ahsoka, where I'm like, and I don't want to repeat all the things I said about Ahsoka here, but the main takeaway from Ahsoka was that like it felt like for me he was excited more for season 2 than season 1, and that kind of brought about a less meaningful arc for characters like Shin and what's her name? Shin, Hati, and
Balin.
Balin. There we go. Balin and Shin. They got kind of like the rough end of the stick in terms of their arcs. Ahsoka's was fine, and Sabine's was kind of middle of the road for me. I expected more from Sabine at the end of it. I think these character journeys, character arcs are issues that just don't plague Filoni and Favreau, but it's been a Disney Plus thing as well in terms of at least live action wise, in terms of giving enough runtime, giving enough time for these characters to have meaningful journeys, meaningful arcs across their specific seasons. Because I think again, Bo-Katan and Mando kind of had middling arcs as well, even though they both had a conclusion of sorts in Mando season 3. But either way, I wonder if Dave Filoni, and going to your next point, is that Dave Filoni, as his creative head, as somebody who's knee deep in Star Wars, is he going to realize the qualms that people are having with the structure of certain Disney Plus shows? Because again, it didn't just plague Ahsoka. It plagued Mando. It plagued some other shows that we've watched over some of the Marvel shows. We talked about it. I talked about it with Loki season 2, and with what were some other Marvel shows that came out recently? I don't even know what came out this year. But I think
another show this year for Marvel.
Secret Invasion happened. Holy shit!
I haven't seen Secret Invasion.
I totally forgot about that. That's also a big issue. Is like, what are we building to? What's happening? I think all these shows have an issue. I wonder with Dave Filoni as the creative consultant, as you just said, he's going to be at the inception of these new shows. Is he going to be able to take on these concerns with the structure of these shows? And I know writing is going to be different, of course, because that's how fiction is. Everybody writes things differently. But in terms of the structure, is he going to be giving people more, more freedom in terms of like their episode structure, episode limits? Because again, I know he made Ahsoka himself, but I think Ahsoka needed to be an extra 2 episodes. I think, or maybe just write it a little bit more tighter if I'm Filoni. But I wonder if some of the inception of these new shows is going to come with longer run times. We already heard, like with Daredevil, for example, that might get longer runtime. I don't know if that's going to have to do with concerns people had about the 6-episode structure at Marvel, but maybe they're listening. But so I wonder with Star Wars as well, are we going to be seeing longer runtimes in the future? Are we going to be seeing shows be more original and take bigger chances in the future? Is Dave Filoni going to have anything to do with this? I hope so. But that's kind of like my hopes for him as the creative chief at Lucasfilm. So, high hopes. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of his writing, but I don't think him having being creative chief, is going to influence some of the writing on a lot of shows that we know and love. I don't think, just because he's coming on board, that he's going to force Palpatine to be in Acolyte season 2, if he wasn't already. At least I don't know what they're cooking over there with Acolyte, right. But yeah, so we'll wait and see. I'm very interested, but yeah, it's a wait and see game for that. But the other topic that we talked about is this Kylo Ren stuff. A very interesting interview with one of the great actors of our generation, Adam Driver. He was on some random podcast. I don't even know what the podcast name was. But he was talking about his direction for Kylo Ren in the sequel trilogy and how it was topsy-turvy.
I was like, you could say all this? Say more.
I know, right? People are like, where's our sequel trilogy tell-all? Because we all know there is some bullshit behind the scenes with that whole sequel trilogy. We all know it didn't have a plan, even though I hate that word. The sequel trilogy, the fandom ruined the word plan for me.
I was talking in the aspect of like, yeah, shit went down, because then I feel like I'm starting to slip into the group that are like, what did Disney meddle and fuck up with? Like the
exactly
my childhood shit. Like, oh god, that's not us.
Yeah, definitely not. And let me pull up my bookmark so I can. There we go.
But it's also evident that some stuff got shaken up along the way.
You know what? Fuck it. Let me share a screen so we can watch it again on here.
Let's go, DMCA, baby.
I mean, it's from Twitter. It's like, is it? Or would we get DMCA for that? We'll talk over it.
I don't know. Every time we do trailers, we always get from Warner Brothers. We always get copyright.
Fuck you, WB. Give me some time here while I pull it up.
Yeah, I want to
Okay.
explicitly like touches, pause, touches some quotes
Pause.
Pause. That's the first time I ever said that on a video. Pause. God, I love that. It's always so fun.
It's great. What do you see?
Which one?
Do you see what I see?
This one.
Okay, was
so,
that?
Yeah, let's start this over, and there we go.
Yeah, let me turn it down a little bit. Yeah, he's on the Rick Eisen podcast. No idea who this fucker is. I'm kidding. Probably a good guy. Probably a cool guy.
The Roku channel.
The Roku channel. You got the Roku channel, Nathan?
I have a Roku, or we did.
Nice.
No, it's a Samsung now. So.
You chose the wrong side. Anyways.
Did we?
I'm kidding. I have no idea. Anyways, here we go. Adam Driver talking about Star Wars.
But did you know that at least you're playing Vader 2.0? Like, at least did you know
Vader
that
2.0?
Conceptually,
I did. Yeah. And I had an overall arc in mind that he wanted to do, which then changed. But his idea was that
he's talking about JJ
almost
Abrams.
the opposite journey of Vader, where Vader starts the most confident, the most committed to the dark side, and by the last movie he's the most vulnerable and weak, and he wanted to start at the opposite, where this character was the most confused and vulnerable, and by the end of the 3 movies would be most committed to the dark side. So that.
And real quick, this is interesting because we have heard the J.J. Abrams famous quote, at least for me, that Kylo Ren is reverse Vader.
You remember like the ashes of his enemies.
Yes. Oh boy, not Ash.
Suddenly, I believe in more.
Not Ashgate. That was a thing.
Now that I hear this quote, I'm like, oh, he really was fucking going there.
People are like, Ashgate. This is why Kylo Ren can't be redeemed. He has the ashes of his enemies. This is 2016 discourse.
JJ's burners.
Yes. Yes. But this reverse, I'll talk about it later, but this reverse Vader quote has been floating around. I just had a different meaning of it, given what we got in 7, 8, and 9, than what Adam seems to be talking about here. But I'll discuss that later.
I tried to keep that arc in mind, regardless if that wound up not being the journey anyway, because it changed, obviously, as we were shooting.
Yeah, right.
But I was still kind of focused on that.
When did it change?
Ryan.
Well, with Ryan, he took it into a different direction, but still, it kind of still tracked with the character. Then the last one, it changed.
Okay. And the last one, what happened?
About them and the dyad and things like that.
Seeing Adam say dyad, wow, that's crazy.
It throws me off the way he's saying it, as if like that stuff was like the wrench in the cogs, which is like the shit we liked.
I don't know if he's saying wrench, but Adam's delivery is very, take it as you will for each interpretation. But like,
he feels very impartial, I will say, of giving this.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. He feels like the dyad. Like it seems so common knowledge for him.
I can see in his bones. He's like accepted what's happened and moved on. Like he holds like nothing a part of this. He's just like, all right, I'm on to my next projects. I'm still making art.
Yeah. So this is about Ferrari, right? Coming out in 3 days, right?
Right.
So yeah, he's on Ferrari mode. But yeah, you're right. He's just casually talking about it. Meanwhile, the fandom's like, holy shit. Yeah.
I'm 4 years in and I'm still in denial.
They pull me back in.
So yeah, his soul back into his body. That's what I want.
Yeah. Let's finish this up.
And then again, so you
and kind of evolving into Ben Solo. That was never part of it.
That wasn't either.
No. Because Ben Solo, he was Ben Solo from the beginning, but it wasn't. It was never a version where we actually see Ben Solo when I first signed up for it.
Well, I don't like that.
I'm not happy, Bob. Yeah.
I guess I'm happier now, but
and this is the interesting part. Because for me, there's a lot of things going on that day when this happened, December 12th. For me, I'm like, JJ, what the hell? But also, thank you, JJ, because originally JJ did not have the idea of Ben Solo. which not me, a lot of the people in the Reylo community theorized back in 2015, this is a story of redemption in Star Wars. He's going to be redeemed with the help of Rey. That was a cookie cutter end all be all thing I saw coming after The Force Awakens. Last Jedi kind of solidified my feelings on that. I think Ryan had a very good interpretation of the Force Awakens script and where he thought the direction was going to be heading in. Of course, apparently JJ thought differently, but he still had to follow what Ryan set up. And, JJ gave us Ben Solo again. But to think that Ben Solo wasn't going to be a thing is kind of mind-boggling to me. It's very interesting because I think Ben Solo is a natural arc, and people like to say like, well, yes, we solved this already, i.e., Vader, but it's also a different interpretation, a different arc entirely here. And this goes into the reverse Vader of it all, where for me, reverse Vader meant, at least for me, Anakin starts off in the light and ends up in the dark, becoming Vader, and then Kylo Ren would start off in the dark, end up in the light. Yeah. At least in terms of what we visually see. In the Phantom Menace, we see a young boy who becomes Vader. I thought in this one, we see a young, evil, warlord become Ben Solo again. That's the reverse Vader. But I think for JJ's sense, he thought of the original trilogy where we start with the bad guy turning good. We're going to see a bad guy turn bad?
A conflicted bad guy who ends up doubling down, I think is what he's saying.
Which is weird because I think Ryan also saw, in The Force Awakens, you'll be an idiot. I'll say that now. You'll be an idiot to not see a conflicted villain in The Force Awakens. No matter how many times fans like to say, I remember people are like, he's smiling when he killed Han Solo. Idiots. Like every audience member should, at least if JJ's doing his job, realize that and if Adam's doing his job right, that Kylo was conflicted when he killed Han Solo. But the interesting part was that I thought, and so did Ryan, that would be the catalyst for Ben's towards the change towards Ben. While JJ, I guess, figured this conflict was going to be the catalyst for him to dig deeper into the dark side.
That's wild too.
Yeah, so.
Because like when you watch the scene where he does kill his father, where it's very obvious he's conflicted because I don't have the strength to do it. Will you help me? It's double meaning in both of their eyes. But he's literally saying, I can't kill you, but I know that's what I have to do. And I'm pretty sure many creatives have talked about this. When you watch that scene, he thinks him killing his father is going to solve all his problems and he's going to get clarity within, but he does it. And you get like a clear shot of him standing there after Han falls off, and he's just standing there in the dark and he's just looking down, and you see there's no resolve. And then he gets shot. That moment's broken, but if that moment wasn't broken, he would just be sitting there in solace, like, this didn't do anything for me. Oh no.
Right? It's one of my favorite shots of the sequel trilogy. Just look at him breathless, like looking down in the abyss, just totally shooketh by his decision.
It's unfortunate that our heroes then do attack back. And I get why Chewie does it. It's the fact that like the characters are there catapults him back into his wrongful mindset of like, all right, the real enemy is the rebels. Let's go get them.
Exactly. And I always interpret that scene as him being interrupted and then just lashing out at the first thing he sees, which is, of course, like Rey, the people that like brought this about, kind of the people that brought the conflict home, per se, to Starkiller Base.
It's one of
lashes out at them.
It's one of the more interesting things that not a lot of people tackle with conflicted villain dynamics is most times when the heroes are around, they're there to guide them toward the correct path. But in this instance, the heroes are getting in the way of his progression back to the light, in a way, which is, unfortunate and messy, but it's all the more delicious storytelling.
Totally delicious. And you're right. Like, it pushes him away. It pushes him towards that anger. Like, you see that anger when he's fighting Finn, just basically toying with Finn. But then you get one of my favorite scenes in the sequel trilogy when he's fighting Rey, which is, of course, birth a lot of the whole Reylo dynamic here outside of the interrogation scene, where he's like fighting Rey and he's full on anger and contemplation, and then he fights Rey, who was full on like becoming who she is as a full-blown Jedi. And it kind of like, you know, when they lock blade and look into each other's eyes, like I think that also is a bigger spark than expected for Ben. But anyways, it was just it's a very interesting concept here. I wrote down some more stuff, and I think one of the more interesting developments is that, you know, we can shit on JJ for even having this idea, which again is mind-boggling to me because I'm not a creative myself, but like as a person who loves stories, I just can't see the lesson there for the end of the Star Wars saga to have the last Skywalker. Because I don't know, he can't predict. And I'll talk about this in a second, but he couldn't have predicted Carrie's death in terms of Princess Leia's death. I think Leia was meant to survive this whole trilogy.
They had said even like Leia was supposed to be a more prominent role in 9, as every original character was in their own story. Imagine
Leia having a more prominent role in 9, but Ben continuing to be evil. Was that supposed to be on the plate, JJ?
I don't see that being a possibility. I also really, because I know obviously throughout the writing when JJ and Lawrence were working on Force Awakens, obviously they did like some base level layouts for some character progression for the remainder films. They just didn't write out full scripts and story beats. And I obviously do not think JJ was ever meant to pop back in for 9. I mean, obviously Trevorrow was set for a time.
Trevorrow was set for 9, and Ryan was very close to happening again as well. Yeah,
and we know how JJ likes to, you know, set up stuff. He likes to do his mystery box thing, which I know is like a meme now, but like, you know, he likes to just put in the interesting, like, what could this be, and then just like let it sail out.
What is rabbit's foot?
Yeah, like you know, he creates these ideas, but he's never like wanting to pay them off and like unveil what's behind the curtain, as it were. But then they brought him in to do so, likely because they were like, hey, you gave us our most profitable Star Wars film of all time, do it again.
You started us, close us out here with your ideas. And I think he's like, oh well, I have to now, and this is where I get into my point here, is that like he had to realize now that he has to follow what Ryan set up. And this goes into the idea of like not having a plan. But outside of that, I think JJ did a good job of how Last Jedi fundamentally changed, given what we have here with Adam's comments, fundamentally changed JJ's prerogative here. I think, as we see with Adam saying he wanted Ben to go in a darker direction, even though Last Jedi ends with Ben now being the supreme leader of the First Order, he could have continued to go in a darker direction. He could have gone back to his original direction. But he watched The Last Jedi, he read the script for The Last Jedi and was like, I can't do that. Even though Ben has what he wants, Ryan put Ben in a Zuko season 3 Last Airbender position.
I was about to say.
And JJ saw that and was like, even though I wanted my character to go into a darker direction, I can't possibly have that anymore, because what is right in front of me after The Last Jedi is a character who will get a redemption. At least that's my prerogative, I think. We clearly recognize that there was no going back from the Rey and Ben dynamic, which was the biggest takeaway from The Last Jedi, the Rey and Ben dynamic. There is no going back from that. You have to continue that forward. You have to make them make out. You have to have them, you know, touch hands through the Force. Like, there's no going back from that. And I think he realized that, and then clearly that influenced his direction was 9, where he had a bigger emphasis on the dyad, a bigger emphasis on, you know, how they can see each other through the Force, and how Rey affects Kylo on the Death Star, and then in the final moments of the film. And for that, I am grateful. You know, I'm grateful for what we got with, and of course, I have huge problems with the execution of Ben Solo, the execution of Rey's journey at the end of the movie. But the bare bones of it all is, at least we got a kiss. At least we got Ben Solo on screen fighting against the embodiment of evil in Palpatine, Insidious. At least that was there. We got that at least, and I'll be forever grateful for that. And as flawed as it is, I'm glad JJ had the balls to continue where Ryan left off.
It also hurts that we only really got a whiff, because even like
Exactly.
description, like he fought the Knights of Ren, but it's like, all right, we're standing against Palpatine. That cool dual shot. Push. Wow.
Ah!
Fuck. Like it has to be one of the most
mind-boggling Star Wars decisions of all time.
It really is, because like even like I remember the day I'm driving to the theater. My friend's driving us to the theater to go see it, and he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to see you." You know, Rey and Kylo duke it out, and I'm like,
"Oh boy."
But that's the thing. I say like, I mean, they're for sure gonna team up, right? Like he's getting redeemed, and he's like, "Oh yeah," but it's still gonna be a cool match. But he's aware that like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have a team up, and it's gonna be cool." So like, and god damn it, I sat in multiple audiences when the sabers are going up together. Everyone's like, "Oh." But also when they're side by side, ready to take on Palpatine, it's like, "Oh, fuck, here we go." No, why?
It's astonishing.
Just
think of the battle we could have gotten. I mean, granted, Sidious can't like physically fight, so you know there was an issue there, and that's why they had the whole idea of having Matthew, Doctor Who, what's his name, Matthew Smith, there in the first place to actually be an opponent for Ben and Rey, physically, because in this movie all he can do is shoot lightning and you got to block it. Like,
granted, but even then, when I was like days after in postmortem, when I did my rewrite, I was like, I had the same thing happen where it's just blocking the lightning, but then I had them combine their efforts of locking blades, not as enemies but allies, one of my favorite lines I wrote, to shoot it back, and just like the dyad power between them.
Just have them be there, have Ben be in the moment, have him say something. It's still astonishing for a $200 million, $200 million project. Your main star, your co-lead,
a true thespian,
just not say a word in the last act of your Star Wars saga. Imagine if Luke and Vader fought Palpatine and Vader just dies and that's it. You don't hear him say your sister was right. You don't hear him say anything. Let me see you with my own eyes. Nothing. Just dies and Luke sits there and just flies off. That's basically what happened.
I mean, I think if I locked picture on the decisions made and then I go off and watch something like Marriage Story and I see what Adam does, I would be like, "Oh fuck, we have to get him back right now." Like we can't waste this man.
I'm jumping on my neck. If I realize that, I'm like, I fucked up everything. I'm jumping on my neck. It's a wrap for me. I'm done. I'm kidding. But yeah, it still is astonishing. But again, like it's mind-boggling to hear this. But again, we got what we got, and I'm happy for it. It's just astonishing that it could have been so much better.
Yeah, especially when you made a comparison to Zuko, which the blueprint, but like
for everything.
Remembering the point in season 3 where Zuko is back and accepted by the Fire Nation. His dad has him like sitting next to him in meetings again and like literally being at his right hand, and Zuko having his honor back and everything he ever wanted, but still feeling so empty and conflicted and angry inside. Like he got everything he wanted after all this time and it meant nothing. And
it's so good.
And then, as you were saying, Ryan making Ben the new supreme leader of the First Order, the basically leader of the galaxy at that point. And then the thought of we could have had like Ben having to run through sit in these meetings and do these things, and you just like look at him and you just see the isolation. Like he has this power that he's been running for, but like he it doesn't feel the same because he's just alone. And who didn't allow him to be alone? Rey. And she's out there and they're fighting, and he's like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, and you could have had like the Death Star scene still stays. It's a great fight. I love that fight. And the end result of that fight is great.
Oh yeah.
And it's really weird how like Leia dies, he pauses, and Rey executes him. It's weird, but then she heals him, which is great.
Yeah.
But anyways, the fight is great. But like leading up to that, they wasted so much runtime by doing the cat and mouse. Ben still or Kylo still being super angry with Rey, like where are you? And then the whole fight, like the fight's cool on that one ice planet. I forget what it's called now. But like
Kajimi.
Jimmy, let's start with the K. Thank you. And for me, I'm with you. Just give us more Solo Ben lamenting his position, but you can still have him be an enforcer. He's still a bad dude, right?
Mhm.
But also, like, and that's why the Knights of Ren are such a great addition to the film. But like, you can still have him being like the Zuko scene when he pulls up to the prison cell of Iroh. He's like yelling at Iroh, basically projecting his anger and his sadness over his position. And then Iroh says nothing to him. And that hurts all the more. We could have that. We had that with Chewie on the ship, right? Chewie was there. Chewie. Remember, Nathan?
Yes. Saying in there. Oh god, did they film it? Why don't we have deleted scenes anymore?
It's in the concept art. It's there. We could have definitely had a scene where they kidnapped Chewie.
Oh, it's in the novelization, isn't it?
Or one of those concept art novelization. It might be novelization. Actually.
Both.
I didn't read the novelization. I saw reactions from the community about it. But yeah, that would have been a great scene where Chewie just doesn't say a word, and Kylo like yells at him about Han, about his position, something like that, to kind of give us a little crumb of what we see of Ben Solo by the end of the Death Star battle, before actually seeing him go face to face with Han's ghost. That'd have been fantastic. So again, there's some things we always talk about our Traw stuff as always, but I think also a big thing was that for JJ, Leia unfortunately died. Carrie Fisher died in 2016, and I think that really shook JJ's position of Kylo's character as well. On top of like Ryan's Last Jedi being what it was. I think after seeing the chemistry between Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley in Last Jedi and in The Force Awakens, Carrie Fisher passing away, them rejecting Colin Trevorrow's script for The Force Awakens or for Tross Duel of the Fates, that had been going even darker. I think JJ really used Carrie's death to really assist in his confirmation that Ben should go back to the light, that he should become Ben Solo again. I think Carrie's death really did have an impact.
Yes, which is, that's a great way of servicing the in-universe characters. Now, granted, I've always been a person who calls for, like, just because the actor of this infamous role dies doesn't mean you have to kill off the character. And I'm still baffled to this day. The only franchise that has successfully done that is Fast and Furious. But
when I see you again,
right? But yeah, it's just it forever bugs me when I do watch Tross, that it's very clearly teeing up that the death of Leia is set up in a way that Ben is about to be fatally wounded, and when Rey goes to heal him, that Leia's essence passes, her force passes into him so he can live, because that's the whole thing at the end, is like when he gives his life to Rey, it's too much, and that causes him to die. So obviously that would mean Leia is the reason Ben continues to live on. But then if he just dies again at the end anyway, what does that make Leia's sacrifice worth?
Great question.
And
it's baffling. Or you could just have the same scene in the Death Star. Rey just heals him because the wound wasn't fatal.
Sure.
And then just put Leia's thing at the end. That's it. And then he's back. I mean, it's shockingly not that hard, right? You just put your death sequence, your death sacrifice 45 minutes later. And with the one where Ben actually does die.
Or hell, you can make it like her force leaving be like a final push to help Rey and Ben push against Palpatine or whatever force.
There, yeah,
conflict they are in.
exactly.
That'd be a nice little thing, and to still make Carrie be like one of the most proficient like ending punches of the entire saga. That's great.
Like, fuck you, Palpatine. I'm saving my son and I'm defeating you at the same time.
Yeah. The woman that has been fighting since childhood against this man, and like bam, we got him.
We got him, ladies and gentlemen. Dun, 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 dun. Man, I mean, it again, Frost is a bewildering film because a lot of it is like right there for the taking, and JJ just says, "Skirt, let's do this."
But also I've seen JJ make good shit, man. So I'm like, how?
Well, I love Mission Impossible 3. I love Super 8. I love The Force Awakens. I think he still is a very smart, creative talent as well.
His Star Trek's I have a blast.
Man, we saw it happen, Nathan.
I watched it happen. I saw it happen. Don't tell me it didn't happen.
Thank you.
JJ made us watch.
Is that too long of a title for our Star Trek podcast?
Watch it happen, saw it happen.
That's for the taking. But anyways, it's just this will still be one of the most shocking movies of all time for me. I know we bring it up every episode of our 103 episodes of Hyperspace Hype. But
I'm tired too, and I don't like argue online anymore. Even though
me neither.
Even though I do get the itch sometimes, I'm like, it won't be worth it. I won't sway these people.
I don't argue, but I love having these conversations because it's just like we love Star Wars too, and we just have a different take on what could have happened. And this interview kind of brought back and brought to light some interesting developments that I did not really know. I mean, I knew the sequel trilogy was a hot mess, of course, but like I always at least figured that Ben Solo was on the table from the beginning. I figured that was a no-brainer kind of thing, but to see it like it was a last-minute thing was kind of shocking a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But again, who knows? Maybe Adam could return. Maybe somebody at Lucasfilm was watching Mara's Story right now and they're like, you know what? I can't fuck this up.
I hope, because I mean, yeah, it's a long shot. It is, but the fact that we are getting a Rey film does make me feel a bit at ease. It makes me feel more at ease than when I was like, "That's it. These characters are done. We have nothing. There's no forward."
It does. People are always like, "Well, you just don't like Cross because what happened to Ben," and you're right. But I think for me, Rey it's like 50-50. I think Rey might be 51/50 in terms of like disservice, because I really do not like Rey's final shot. I don't like Rey's final ending. For Rey's arc in general, for that, I kind of earned the saber. Disgusting, just disgusting. I'm still shocked that was a line. I haven't earned this saber.
I know about this at a yard sale, but I think I have to earn this.
You have to earn it. Yeah. Fuck off. Anyways,
didn't that completely like make you feel negative about training in general?
I already hated training, but 3 movies in, we're still training. That's weird. But the only
Rocky, this isn't like
the only thing game. Like I don't mind training is like bringing back Avatar: Last Airbender, for example. He hadn't learned fire bending until 20 minutes before the final boss battle. I'm exaggerating, but it's like
that is like laid out from the jump of like, here's everything we need to learn, and we've only learned bits and pieces. So like the audience is aware, like we haven't reached our full potential yet.
So he still had to learn fire bending, basically spirit bending, basically with the whole lion turtle aspect about all that. So I didn't mind that kind of spiritual training. Spiritual training, I give a pass to in fiction most of the time, where it's like more of a spiritual kind of thing. Physical training, what we saw Rey doing, is kind of like 3 movies in. Do we really need to do this? If she was communing with the Force, that would, like the cosmic Force, that would be a different. I was seeing a different tune.
It's weird because in Star Wars they make the Force very simple, and the way they speak about it is very simple. It's just like, yeah, it's a very powerful thing, and you just have to open yourself up to it. Just let it in, and it'll guide you and it'll protect you. And that tends to be how things work out. And again, to this point of like, why are we training? It's like when you do look at somebody like Luke, who, yes, we did do some training. We also watched Rey did some training. Both of them did training in their second movies. Luke was, not great fighting Vader when he rushed into it. And then, he healed up, and then we just jumped to him being very stoic and masterful. We didn't have to see his progression of that.
We didn't give a fuck. We knew.
Yeah,
It was just cool. He's good.
Yeah, it's cool. Oh, fuck yeah. All right, look at him. He's really mastered this.
He's
All right.
good.
I'm excited to see how his...
I'm going to use my brain and assume he got some shit done in 3 years. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. There are abridged times between installments. That's right.
Huh.
But then we're watching Rey, and it's like, all right, obstacle course, baby.
Even if Tross came out a month after Last Jedi, I would still assume she got training done because my fiction brain assumes time works differently in stories, right? Like, come on, guys.
How do people watch like old TV shows and like jump from season to season? Like, excuse me.
Yeah, it's baffling. But anyways, that all to say, I think Rey's journey got a big disservice in Tross, especially her conclusion. Hopefully, the movie can go one of two ways. They could double down on what they believe to be Rey's journey at Lucasfilm in terms of like, she'll focus on saving Finn. I don't know. The Finn stuff is definitely, I think, could definitely still be in the movie. Mm-hmm. But for me, I don't want them to go down the rabbit hole of like, I gotta live a life of solitude, and just like I gotta train some more or something. It's just like they could go down the very opposite end of what I want Rey to do here. And there's not a huge checklist for what I want Rey to go through. I just want her to have an emotional experience, one that kind of energizes her to be more confident in her position as like the new last remaining Jedi in this more uncertain time after the dark side Sidious has been defeated. What's out there? What's the next antagonist? I don't know. There was even some comments that we have not talked about yet about Daisy Ridley saying like she only got the script for, of course, the 2025 one movie, but people are asking, could this be the start of a new trilogy? She said she would be open for it. She doesn't know. Right now, she's just focused on one movie, which I think is smart of Lucasfilm. Just focus on one movie. We know they're doing 2 more, but it's unrelated to Rey's movie. Right. But if this could be the start of a new trilogy, even better in my opinion. More Daisy Ridley is better. More Rey is always better for me. But yeah, I'm just hoping for this one movie to give closure to Rey's arc in the sense that I didn't get in Tross. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. And yeah, we'll see. But let's move on to one of the other rumors. Lastly, here is that Mando season 4 could be a movie. This was brought to us by, might have been your favorite person, Jeff Snyder.
Mine? What?
Yes, your best friend. What are you talking about?
I mean, I have no
Nathan, don't lie to the audience.
I know Chat has things to say. I'm not one of the people. I really don't know about
I'm kidding. He's divisive. But,
sorry to this man.
Sorry to this man. He's divisive. Say what you want to say about him as a person, but we'll talk about the news story today, which is he claims the odds are in his favor that a movie of The Mandalorian is on its way in place of a 4th season, claiming that the development may be influenced by the disruption caused by the writers and actors strikes earlier this year. In addition to that, he would also say that this would come out ahead of Daisy Ridley's Star Wars movie starring, obviously, Rey. The original plan was for the next installment to be a season of TV, as Jon Favreau said earlier this year, that the script for season 4 had already been completed. But Snyder says the scripts may have changed, or the strikes may have changed something since then. And he says it makes you wonder about what is next for The Mandalorian. And that's basically it.
Okay.
And yeah.
It makes me have 2 questions.
Okay.
Firstly, would this be separate from Filoni's movie that he's directing?
Great question. I think let's see here. What does this article say? He said it makes you wonder this is Star Wars Newsnet actually. This is them at Star Wars Newsnet saying It makes us wonder what is becoming a Dave Filoni Star Wars movie, which was supposed to wrap up the events of the Mandoverse in one epic finale. Would this new movie replace his or simply precede it? That is still unknown. So to answer your question, from my opinion is still that Dave Filoni's movie is still heir to the Empire.
Yeah.
You know, Hera versus Thrawn. Or Hera versus Thrawn could be a season 2 Ahsoka thing, for all we know. Yeah, I always figured this is so confusing because season 3 kind of wraps it all up in a bow, right? I don't know.
So quick.
So quick, they give us a little circle freeze frame outage. I don't know what it's called.
I felt like I sat on the fast forward button.
Yeah, the whole season with the fast forward button. But yeah,
Forward like doing side quest stuff, and it's like, oh, we're having fun, and then Gideon's like, hey, give me 10 minutes.
Yeah, he comes back in the last 2 episodes just to say like, I'm here, and then dies. Season 3, what happened? Anyways,
Can we start off? We were like, this is promising. We're setting up Mythosaur.
Yeah, Mythosaur. Nothing happens with that. The cult thing. Our whole idea of what this cult meant to Din completely reversed and changed.
We're friendly now.
We're friendly now. We're good for his character arc now, right?
We respect Bo now.
We respect Bo now.
You can have the Darksaber. We're good.
Weird. Anyways, I think this won't happen. I think this might have been a mistranslation or a misrumor. I don't know. Some people are wrong, but I think Jeff might have got it wrong here. Jeff, he gets something right, he gets something wrong, as does every reporter, or scooper, leaker, whatever you want to call it these days. I'll say scooper, he's not a leaker these days. But I still think Mando Season 4 is more beneficial for Lucasfilm than jumping right into the movie. But, I have no clue what possible arc Mando could go on in Season 4, given his ending in Season 3. So why not just jump him right into Dave Filoni's movie? I wouldn't mind that at all. I wouldn't mind just. I don't think there needs to be a Season 4. Honestly, like go straight from Ahsoka Season 2 to the Dave Filoni movie, right? Like it'll. Of course, I don't know when the Filoni movie is going to happen. Maybe 2027. That's 4 years from now. Yeah. I guess they can put in something, but I wouldn't know Mando Season 4 would talk about. If Ahsoka Season 2 is going to handle at least from Filoni's comments earlier this week, if Filoni's Ahsoka Season 2 is going to handle Ahsoka getting back to our universe and Hera versus Thrawn, I think he said the Hera versus Thrawn stuff was for Ahsoka, not for Mando. I could double check that. Because he said earlier, like on Vanity Fair, Hera Thrawn. Let me look that up real quick. Yeah, he says his foil throughout Rebels was Hera. He tells Empire pitting 2 generals against one another is something that I find very interesting. But that's because that's just hinting at Thrawn's future in Star Wars, not just Ahsoka Season 2. So, which is so weird to me. Would Thrawn even be a presence in Mando Season 4? He would kind of have to be, right? Because by the end of Ahsoka, he's back in our neck of the woods.
Yeah, even like both Season 2 and 3, they're teaming him up by name. And granted, that's probably just, a stepping stone to the Ahsoka series. But people involved with the conflict of the Mandalorians are also
aware.
Yeah, and like have ties with Mando's working with Carson Teva and the Greater Rebellion, so it's like something there. But I don't know. Also, my second question would have been that if this was going forward, whether or not this would be a theatrical movie or if it would be a Disney Plus exclusive.
I would assume it would be theatrical, which would be weird, right? Imagine you're just a regular audience member and you're like, Thrawn's back. Here's a new movie. Mando's here. I mean,
I might, but at the same time, eventually it's going to hit Disney Plus regardless, and you're going to reach your original target audience to begin with. So it doesn't matter. You would still be getting new eyes in that case, I guess.
True, but to have your main antagonist built up on a strictly Disney Plus series, he was built up in Rebels, which not a lot of people saw if you're a regular fan. But then and then he built up in Ahsoka, and then boom, a movie.
Well, that's what we're doing with the Heir of the Empire movie, presumably.
True, you're right. You're 100% right.
Which I think will go okay. I think Mando would fare even better, frankly, because
Yeah, people know Mando and Baby Yoda. That's common knowledge.
Everybody. Even when I like think back to like when I went to go see Multiverse of Madness, a lot of people were getting pretty hyped of hearing the jingle for WandaVision and cutting over to Wanda's story and stuff. So like people are aware, they know because WandaVision was a big success. Mando probably even more so.
I think that's the biggest one. Mando and WandaVision are probably the most well-known Disney Plus projects. Maybe minus Percy Jackson once that gets added to the list. But like people know about WandaVision. People know about Mando, of course. But I think in terms of other Disney Plus products, ask somebody like Miss Marvel now maybe because of the Marvels, even though that kind of bombed. But like Miss Marvel might be a decently well-known series. But like, do people know about She-Hulk? Do they know about Secret Invasion? Do they know about Falcon and Winter Soldier? That's where things might get iffy.
I think the hope and like the best case scenario hope is that people who are newly exposed to these characters in the theatrical area will be like, oh, that was an interesting character. Let me see if there's anything else they may be a part of. Oh, they got a whole show. I can get to know them better. Let me check this out.
Yeah. And again, you're right. I think I'm diminishing things. I'm taking things a bit too harsh. I think once you see Thrawn again, or for us, but once you see Thrawn in general as an audience member, you're like, okay, this is our brand new antagonist. But now our heroes that we do know in Mando is going to face him. Oh, Mando's pulling in characters that are then fans will know, like a Hera. And if you don't know who Hera is, all you have to know is she's a general. And she has backstory with Thrawn. That's it. That's all you really need to know. Ahsoka's even more of a fan favorite for like hardcore fans, but like I don't think a lot of people know who Hera or Ahsoka is, but in general, she's a Jedi. And there's not much you need to know there in terms of that either. And like you said, go back and watch Ahsoka and you'll be fine. But even if you don't watch Ahsoka, I think you'll also be fine. Mm-hmm. All that to say, I just don't see what the benefit is to make Mando Season 4 a movie rather than a series of TV. The one benefit I can say is like, well, I've been saying is that there might not be enough material for a full season run of Mando Season 4. So it could definitely benefit from just being 2 hours, which in terms of Mando would just be half a season, if that. So I think that could benefit from their lack of material. Or you can easily just do your mission of the week for good. How many episodes usually is it? 8? You can do your mission of the week for like 5 or 4 episodes while teasing in the return of Thrawn, who again, whether we like it or not, people don't know he's back. At least what we got from Ahsoka. Ezra's going to tell people, but like Thrawn could just hide for now and then strike at the right moment. So Mando Season 4 could still be about Thrawn hiding from the hiding in the woods, basically, just not striking until the finale of Season 4. You never know.
I think we'd also discussed at a point of like Thrawn building up that big army before making that public strike. Like, boom,
true,
can't stop me because I'm back.
Yeah. So now that he's back, he still like Season 4 could be about him gathering his troops somewhere in the new galaxy, like
because currently, the rebellion is under like. Mon Mothma obviously believes like Thrawn is coming or would be back, but a lot of people are naysaying in the Senate.
And that's why we have Ezra to be like, he's coming.
But which would be interesting. And yes, granted, Ezra is quite the outlier, but I think until the galaxy sees Thrawn, they're not going to take the word until it's too late when he does come back, because I think he'd be smart enough to hold back his appearance until he has enough power to be like, I am back and you cannot stop what I have.
I think that could be effective in a Mando Season 4 movie in a sense of like building up that drama, building up that tension, and then the last part of that movie being some kind of like early Thrawn scuffle before we get Heir of the Emperor. I don't know. And that's where things get messy. But now that Thrawn is back, how do you avoid having a Thrawn conflict throughout a Mando Season 4, throughout Ahsoka Season 2, 2 major products before you get to the movie, which we assume to be the big battle. If the movie's the big battle, what are you going to do in Ahsoka season 2, for Thrawn at least? And what are you going to do in a Mando season 2, or maybe season 4? I think for Ahsoka season 2, honestly, you just could not include Thrawn. You could just do an Ahsoka, Sabine, Shin, and Balin story, all set in the outer galaxy. Avoid Thrawn completely until the end, where you go back to where we are in our galaxy and see what he's been up to.
Honestly, you have enough characters separated to jump from group to group to fill out the season, so you could also still include him. And what you could probably do, because Thrawn is a very strategic person, is you could have him hiring people going after the rebellion for him. But
he doesn't show up.
Yeah, and just working his info in that way, and gaining knowledge without him being a public appearance.
True. Yeah, because Ezra can say like he's back all he wants, but Thrawn's like, can you find me?
Can you
like,
prove it?
Can you prove it? Yeah, so he can just be disappearing and doing some, secret maneuvers all throughout Ahsoka season 2. So that works there. But then how do you explain Mando season 4 with the movie not movie thing? Like, what do you do in that season then? Like,
yeah,
that's where things get confusing.
That's the tricky bit, because
I assume Thrawn's would be the big thing there too.
Yeah, because I really just feel like we've just folded up all of the conflict for Mando. And honestly, at this point, I didn't expect to see Mando again until the Heir of the Empire event.
Me too. But with Mando season 4 scripts have been written. It could either be a movie or a TV show. And with Gideon gone and Thrawn set up at the end of season 3 finale by talking about Thrawn, the new secret, they had a secret Operation Rebirth or Operation Resurrection, something like that. Yeah. From the Empire's Shadow Council. The Shadow Council can continue being a threat. That's a key threat. But I still think the Shadow Council versus Thrawn could be a potential interesting inter-conflict there. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see there. But yeah, let's close out the episode here, our last couple of 20 minutes here before I got head out. Talking about what is our favorite moments of Star Wars in 2023. I have some off the top of my head. Spoiler alert, animation, baby.
I was leading up to the podcast and I was like, maybe I should rewatch some stuff, and I didn't.
I didn't have time either, but I think, yeah.
And then I was also headed in, and I was like, fuck, do I remember a moment? I was really that brain dead.
I could talk to you, and then I can give you some brain blast here. But
sure.
For me, I think Bad Batch season 2 blew me away in terms of how rich that narrative was. I think for season 1 was all about them being on the run. How do you protect this child in Omega? Technical. Eureka. I love this team so much. I never expected to love this found family so much, but I fucking do, and they are so great. I think Bad Batch season 2 delivered on some of my new favorite episodes in Star Wars animation. The Crosshair episodes of Bad Batch season 2, with the first one where we got him and Commander Cody. Commander Cody's back, y'all, and he was with Crosshair. That episode where he's just where Crosshair is outside the memorial, that wide shot of Crosshair talking to Cody, and Cody's discussing the past, Order 66, are we doing the right thing here? At the beginning, seeding that at the beginning of the episode, then throughout the episode, we get this scuffle where they have to basically take over this planet from separatists who are just yeah, we are not part of the Empire. We don't want to be part of the Empire. What's so hard about that? And then, but now the Empire is pushing their agenda in there, and Cody kind of has to be the bad guy there, and they basically kill everyone. And we get that beautiful shot at the end of the episode where, crazy great action sequences across the board that episode. But the end of the episode where the ladies put in a what's it called? Hostage situation, and Cody doesn't pull the trigger. Crosshair does, and he's just following the mission. And then you get the next day, Cody is gone, never to be seen again. And Crosshair stands outside the memorial now by himself without Cody, pondering his position. And he also gets like reprimanded by the guy who eventually dies in Bad Batch Season 2. I forget his name, but the commander who got kind of like he was used as kind of like the bait in terms of like the Republic saying like, oh, they're doing bad stuff here. Basically, the Senate Palpatine used that guy as kind of like bait for the Senate, saying like, oh, he's the only guy doing the bad stuff. Everybody else, we're still doing good stuff here. So that episode is great, but also the bigger episode for Crosshair was, I forget what the episode number it was, but it was called The Outpost, and it was the one on the frozen planet, and this was one of the more gorgeous and symbolically impactful episodes of Star Wars animation, where we finally get Crosshair's redemption arc, all told in the span of 23 minutes. As he gets sent out to this abandoned outpost, he finally realizes, I'm in the shit end of the stick. He has to go, be security for these old clone troopers who've been there for a long time. And
what
then
did they risk their life for to bring back?
Yes, like what was our purpose here? Why are we still here? Basically, that was kind of like the thematic essence of the episode. And then they go get their supplies. A lot of them die along the way, and then they risk their lives for. And they open up the container, and it's like, wasn't it like stormtrooper armor?
The armor, weaponry, nothing that can't be replaced.
Exactly, but. At the cost of their lives, they had the whole avalanche happen, and then his friend he was getting close to dies. And Crosshair walks alone. You see the eagle circling up on top, or the bird at least, circling up on top, symbolizing like, I know, right? Symbolizing like his death, basically, or the death of the clone trooper program, the death of his role in the story, basically.
Even like with that Imperial general who was so sniveling and just the way the wordage he used against Crosshair just made him, you put him in the shoes of like no more than like a battle droid being decommissioned.
Yep. And that's a good point. Yeah, there was like battle droids, I think, in that episode or in the previous episode.
I think Cody said the same thing, and he was like, what makes this different?
Yeah, we're not droid. We don't just simply follow orders. And that kind of rang true up until this Outpost episode where he just comes back nearly dead, and the general just like spits on his face basically, and Crosshair shoots him dead. It's one of the best shots. It's fantastic. I remember me and Jen were like, yes, let's go. He's back. But then he gets arrested, and then he gets sent to Tantos, whatever it's called. And that just gets me so excited for Bad Batch Season 3. We're getting the great dynamic of Crosshair and Omega behind enemy lines. Oh my gosh. And to have like just that one small scene between Crosshair and Omega in the very first episode. Remember when they were still on Camino and Omega had a very small conversation with Crosshair there. And then even in the finale of Season 1, where it's like, you can come home, Crosshair, and he refuses. And like now we finally get to see Crosshair and Omega back together again. Man, I can't wait. I think Bad Batch Season 2 was just so good. In terms of like really building up what this team stands for, how they operate as a family, the arcs for Echo especially. The arcs for Echo were great. Like the characters that we didn't get enough screen time in the first season, like Echo and what's the other one? Tech. Yeah, Tech as well. Rest in peace, Tech. If he is dead, I mean that finale, dude.
I think.
What do you think? You think he still could be alive, or?
I think they got him. That's my denial theory. Because I think I found some shit that I would point out at the time of just like he's potentially made it. I hope.
That finale, dude, heartbreak. I would have never assumed Tech would be on the dying, list.
But I should have known because they gave him
should have
so
known.
much spotlight. He was the winner.
He
of
finally got a
race.
girlfriend, right?
Yeah, fuck Star Wars. Stop.
I know, right? Jesus.
Fuck.
You
Like,
can't have romance.
can you name one successful romance in Star Wars? No. Everyone's died. Kanan, Padme, fucking
Yeah.
heck,
It's not looking good, fam.
Ben,
It's not
Han,
great.
and
Oh,
now
boy.
Leia. God. OPP, and they're gone.
Even they can get redemption. So yeah, that shot of Tech hanging by the wire, that wide shot at the train tracks, it's just them reaching out their hands. He's like, "You always knew this how it would end," and then he says, like, I forget what words he says, but man, the way he just cuts the rope, heartbreaking. That finale just tore my heart out. Oh my god.
My favorite bit is when a character thinks the only way out is through their sacrifice, but then also when another hero comes in and is just like, nope.
Yeah, like this isn't your time, dude.
Right. Like Rose.
The Rose, exactly. I saw this right Last Jedi's peak. But that happened recently in Jujutsu Kaisen, where somebody was like, "This isn't your time." Like, no way in hell. And it was so emotional. But yeah, I'm just like, man, the tech moment, the crosshair moments. I'm trying to think, what was our mid-season finale there too? Oh, we also got to see some Jedi come back. What's his name? The Wookiee. Crap, I forget his name. Gunji, right?
Gunji, yes.
Came back, which was amazing. I think Bad Batch season 2 was just a triumphant success and even better than the first season. For me, as it built up. Hera was first season.
First season?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because they visited her. Yeah.
Really? I know Kanan was the first season, first episode.
Yeah, Kanan was the first episode. Yeah, because remember we talked about the Ryloth episode of season 1. That was definitely. But yeah, season 2. I'm going through season 2 episodes right now. I'm trying to think. Oh, we had like the Metamorphosis episode with the return of the Zillo Beast. That was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, the Outpost, Tipping Point, Plan 99. Oh god. So yeah, season 2 in general was just fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else that came to mind there?
No, I concur. You're hitting all the peak points. I think that about sums up my Bad Batch love for this year. But continuing forward, I guess, in Mando season 3, let's try to find some peak. The one romance that has stuck around, Evan, Jack Black and Lizzo.
Oh God! Wow, that is something that was ripped from my memory, but then inserted back in this very second.
You're welcome. Yeah, didn't see it coming.
That same episode as fucking Great Scott.
Yeah, that's right. He was in it too.
He was back.
Oh, as a separatist, right? Separatist loyalist who was like,
sure.
Hey, I like.
Or he was like Empire loyalist, right, or something like that.
Something like that. I think he's a separatist loyalist, but
Empire. Why would he be separatist?
It was like under the old ways of the separatists. It was specifically something like that.
It's like the old ways of the Empire, because this is poster from the Jedi. He's like Jack Black's character was an old Empire general who turned good, and he's like,
he was, but Christopher Lloyd was a separatist. Is what I remember.
Put your answer in the comments. Who's right? I think I'm right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what to do. But no, there were definitely some cool points in Mando season 3. The fact that we did get an unveiling of the Mythosaur was cool.
Oh, Beck. What's his name? Kylo Ren Beck, played by Jar Jar actor.
Shit. Fucking our boy, Ahmed Best.
There you go. I'm about to look him up. Jar Jar actor. But Ahmed Best coming back in that surprise flashback by Grogu was fantastic. A fantastic surprise. I was spoiled, of course.
Wow.
But it was great to see that in motion. See him back defend the new star of Disney Plus, Grogu, from
That
the
is
clones during Order
amazing.
66. That was a surprise, dual wielding, straight from like his small, role on the TV show, like reality show in Star Wars. I forget what it was called. It was like Training Up Jedi.
Yeah, the game show.
Yeah, and
Jedi Temple
he would,
Challenge.
yeah, Jedi Temple Challenge, and he was great there. I watched like one episode though, and that role continued for him here, where he's protecting the young, and protecting Grogu, and it was freaking amazing. He didn't die either, so he could still have some more appearances.
Yeah,
in
you
the
could age
future.
him up a little bit. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a really good fight spot. I liked seeing Bo-Katan get a bigger spotlight. I wish her arc was a bit more structured, better, executed
Sure.
better. Because I think for a while it was just like she was getting told what to do. Like, hey, you can do this. Hey, you can do this. And she was going from point A to point B. Then she gets the dark saber. Then she realizes she doesn't need the dark saber, and then it's just crushed. Anyways, seeing Bo-Katan back was great. I think she's always played brilliantly by
Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff. She was great here.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
No Din face whatsoever in this season. Granted.
Ever again. We won't get him ever again.
After the events of Last of Us 2 are adapted, I think we'll see him.
Maybe one face in the movie.
Oh, for sure in the movie. They will bank on that.
Yeah, it's like, this is Pedro Pascal. Come see us. Yeah.
This is Pedro.
Pedro. Mr. Fantastic, hello?
That's right. That was the last report, wasn't it? Remember, they're like, the strikes are going to end and we'll give you the cast.
Yeah. People saying that was a stunt to like, hey, force the strikes to close or whatever. Anyways.
Yeah, that did it.
Yeah, right. Anyways.
Yeah, there's some cool. I mean, the action is always fun. As goofy as it is to be like Mecha Gideon, the armor looked cool and the fighting was fun.
It was okay.
Okay, well,
I like seeing the Praetorian Guards again, even though they looked a lot less cooler than TLJ in my opinion. But it was cool to have them again. Not expect them back again.
Was Luke in this season again?
Nope.
No,
I would have remembered that. Wait,
no, he was in Boba Fett. That's what he was in.
He was Boba Fett. That's what it was. Yeah.
Right.
Boba Fett, that wasn't this year, right? That was 2022.
This is 22. Yeah. Shit. Yeah, I am really fucking struggling to pull more.
We don't have to talk about that. But we can move on to.
We did do. But yeah, it's good.
Move on to one of my other favorite moments from animation, Vision Season 2, which I also thought was a big improvement over Season 1, which I love. Season 1, you know me, I love. Now I can't remember titles anymore. But I love the production IG episode of Season 1. I have Disney Plus right here. Let me just look it up. I loved the Village Bride, the Ninth Jedi. That's what I was talking about. The Ninth Jedi, the Village Bride, Lop Ocho, the Elder, Nathan's favorite, right? You loved the Elder. That was your favorite.
Yeah.
Great. The twins, I also love. Season 1 is great, but Season 2 for me had a deeper mythos, a deeper pathos in terms of like the emotional impact for each and every episode.
Yeah.
Sith, the very first episode with the colors, the way the painting reflected her emotions, beautiful, stunning.
Yeah.
My favorite episode though was episode 2, which was Screecher's Reach, the Irish horror folktale about a young girl wanting to escape the awful circumstances that she was in the awful factory. She wanted a better life for herself, but she did have a great life with just her friends, or her 3 other best friends. They're like, this is a great life for us. Like, at least we have each other. But she wanted more. She wanted more freedom. And then she finds this dark cave, which she has been hearing for a long time now. She comes face to face with the ghost, a Sith, and she kills her in a tragic and ominous and horrifyingly intense sequence of events. And then she dies, she escapes, she finds a kyber crystal, or takes a kyber crystal from the old lady there in the cave. And then she gets visited by a Sith, And they're like, "You've completed your trials. Come with us."
It's like I'm watching The Witch. God damn it!
And it is basically the witch. Yeah, she takes the young girl, and she now starts to regret her decision. She looks on at her friends in fear of the unknown here as she is taken away. And the way the Sith is shot here is like these yellow, like angelic, evilest angelic. I don't know how to describe it. Illustrations here, and it was terrifyingly.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I remember her asking like, "Can her friends come?" And no.
And oh my god,
So cold.
So cold. Oh man. And wow, what a final shot! Just sort of looking on her friend as the Sith puts her hand on her shoulder, and the doors close. Fuck. That is peak. I remember watching that, just being like, "Oh my god!" Like that was an incredible experience. I would never forget that. I've watched that more times than I can count. Creatures Reads. It's amazing. I'm gonna watch it again tonight.
You truly sell it on me like every time we discuss. I mean, I liked it to begin with, but like you really like sell me on the fucking like this is the most important piece of media we've animated. I'm like, oh fuck, you're right. I should really be studying this for my show. For me, I remember I know we visited so many other types of animation art styles, but I can't deny the anime episode of season 2 is my favorite still. I think it was episode 4.
Crap. I pressed something on Disney Plus. UI is terrible. But I think from a Journey to the Dark Head,
yes.
That one is sick.
It's
I love that one.
I want a full season of it. Like it's
so fucking good.
Great characters. It's so good.
It's good. Yeah, we meet the mechanic, the disillusioned mechanic who used to work at like this Jedi temple, who gets a vision from the rock saying like light and dark, like the warfare there. But then you get the Jedi there who his master tragically dies, and then the Sith is like following him thereafter as they go back to the Dark Head and realize they have to be like balanced. And then, oh my god, that anime episode is fucking great. I want a whole season of them two together. Give me the mechanic, give me the Jedi working together. It might be set during like the Clone Wars or something like that. I don't know when, but give me 20 episodes of these.
Do I ship it? Probably.
Yes. Hell yeah, we do. It was fantastic.
I really enjoyed, even though it kind of harkened into a bit more of the traditional Clone Wars animation. I love the Indian influence episode.
Oh, that was so great! With the old woman turned out to be a secret Jedi as well, and she fought the Inquisitor there. The design of the Indian-inspired Inquisitor was phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
I loved that there. My other favorite was Spy Dancer, which was like the French Revolution one, where she realizes her son, who was tragically taken from her, is now the commander in charge. She almost killed him, right? She almost killed him thinking she was this commander that killed her son. But it turns out that no, this was his son grown up, taken under the rulership of the Empire. But now her influence there, and she speaks to him in the rain outside. And
that was my second favorite. I remember that was
so good.
It's so good. That was my second favorite. I remember it gave me Prince of Egypt vibes a bit.
Yes, big time.
It's great. Oh yeah, my third favorite. I really enjoyed Ao's song.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was so sweet. A heartwarming tale. Yeah, basically, a girl and her father coming of age tale told with the addition of like the ability of kyber crystals and how the songs of the kyber crystals can unite them. It was a beautiful episode. I loved it.
Yeah. I don't mean to be going through every episode, but I really did enjoy like the overall story and meaning of the pit.
I was just about to say that. That was one of the more darker stories, probably even darker than Screecher's Reach. The main character there, the brother, dies when he falls back into after trying to warn everybody in this new modernized town built on the backs of these slaves, basically.
That they just left in the pit.
Just left in the pit. And the Empire left them, but the people had they have no recollection. They all came after those people, and they had to spend and it was so tragic. They finally realized they come to again, seeing is believing. They try to come to see what's been going on. The Empire tries to stop them, and it is one of the more gut wrenching Star Wars stories, but most impactful as well, because it all the little girl kind of helped unite everybody there, and what a fantastic episode.
Yeah.
In the Stars was great, man. Every season 2 is just banger after banger after banger after banger. It's great, especially on rewatch. It really works for me. I loved Vision so much. I also talk about our experience playing, watching Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
Which I think was a very awesome Star Wars game. 9 out of 10 in my opinion. Nathan, I'll never forget one of my favorite moments of the year. Me and you rooting so hard for Cal and Mirren, and
what did they do?
we were like ESPN commentators during their like, they're like, just talk to her, just kiss her. Oh,
If we were in person, we'd just be like, oh shit.
It was amazing. And then going to that boss battle between Mirren and Cal in fucking what was it? Jeddah. In Jeddah, after flying through using the green portals, that was an incredible action sequence.
Evan, I could do a recut of our episode 9 trailer reaction at Celebration in the crowd, and I could just put footage of our Mirren ships, and it would equal the exact same.
It was amazing. It's like they were stranding in the cold of the caves, like they gotta warm up together. I'm like, come on, this is happening. Let's go. We're getting the warming up cliche. Then we got the kiss. It was so beautiful.
All I'm missing is there's only one bed. That's all we're missing.
I know, right? Come on. But then, like, I was blown away by how much the story dug into their relationship. They're basically like husband and wife by the end of the story. They have a surrogate child now. Speaking of, what a tragic and heartbreaking tale towards the end of the story about Cal facing off against the traitor. And I forget his name now. Shit. But the traitor who was doing everything for his daughter, they kind of leveraged his daughter. The Empire did against him. He wanted out, but they're like, you got to keep on spying on Cal and his family. Spoilers, by the way, for Jedi Survivor. You got to keep on spying on them to really get all this information for the Empire. Then they kind of just discarded him afterwards. And then rightfully, he was like, fuck it, let me go to this abandoned planet from the High Republic. And live out my life there. But as we were saying during the our playthrough, we're like, this isn't living, basically. You're just having you and your daughter live in solitude. Yeah, you're technically free from the Empire, but like you're living a life of solitude with no one else to guide you. And like this could be used for a better purpose. And that's when that's brought him into conflict with Cal. That dueling ideology of like freedom versus at what cost freedom. So it was fantastic. A fantastic ending, and again, just ending up with Cal and Mirren together again, with a surrogate child now because they have to take care of her. Yeah. And after you beat the game, it's great going from planet to planet. You get to talk to her and be like, "How are you doing? Are you okay?" It's just, man, this next Jedi game is gonna be peak. I can't wait. Probably 2027 at this rate, but still. Jedi Survivor was just a great game. The gameplay was incredible. Brand new Jedi forms, even though after a while, I just loved using the crossguard form. That was amazing.
Yeah. A big surprise when Vader pops in.
Oh my God. How many times did we die playing as the master there? It was an incredibly structured fight. I like the structure of it. Great setting. But yeah, it was infuriating, to say the least.
So you never picking that difficulty.
I was on a little bit higher than normal difficulty. Yeah. But it was
gonna be
fun.
me.
It was fun. Yeah, I'm not on like let me look at the story in the trees mode.
So that's what I'm doing here. I'm not playing. I'm literally not playing.
Yeah, I gotta head out soon.
Okay.
One last thing. If you are not reading the High Republic, like Nathan, High Republic Phase 2 ended this year. Remember, Phase 2 took place 150 years before the beginning of the High Republic publishing initiative. Was more so like our normal Skywalker saga, where Phase 1 got us to like a certain point where evil has triumphed. Then we go back into the past with the prequel trilogy, in this case, the Phase 2, 150 years prior, diving deeper into the origins of that evil. And then now we're back at Phase 3. I just finished Eye of Darkness last week. It was a fantastic Star Wars book. I started tearing up at the very last couple of pages. Literally, tears were on the page because I'm just like, oh my God. It was phenomenal. It was romantic. And I love it. High Republic is one of the most romantic Star Wars initiatives. That's probably why I'm so engrossed by it. I just love it so much. So yeah, that was just beautiful for me. So if you're not reading the High Republic, the comics, the books, the audiobooks, I think my favorite Star Wars book this year is probably Star Wars Convergence, which was great. It had a great dynamic between the characters of Gela and Axel. And then I think Eye of Darkness and Path of Vengeance are tied for me. But among that, unfortunately, the Dr. Aphra comic run is coming to an end. Dr. Aphra was introduced in Darth Vader in 2016. She since then has had a comic running from 2017 to 2019, and then from 2020 to what's going to be January 2024. Alyssa Wong has been fantastic in writing this character. I hope she continues in the next. They're teasing the next Dr. Aphra run. So hopefully Alyssa Wong sticks on with that. But Alyssa has been brought on to do High Republic work now. They are also writing Deadpool currently, as well as Captain Marvel over at Marvel, both of which are fantastic runs if you are not reading those. Even though comics are now expensive, $4, $5 sometimes for a comic book, which is ridiculous.
Might as well just sign up for the Marvel Unlimited, right?
I do Marvel Unlimited, so yeah, I'm using that as well. But that's for like past, and they're usually like 2 months behind for their stuff. Yeah, otherwise, Marvel Unlimited would just be the best thing ever. But yeah, read your comics, read your books. High Republic is great. And yeah, I think going through my list, that seems to be it for me. I think I touched on everything.
This motherfucker said nothing about Ahsoka.
If you want to hear about Ahsoka, watch our Ahsoka reviews. But the biggest takeaway is that Shin and Baylan are great creations.
Yeah, I'll rapid fire real quick.
Please. Yeah.
When Sabine and Ezra reunite and hug, it's lovely. When Ezra and Ahsoka reunite and hug, it's lovely. When Ezra and Hera reunite and oops. They wiped. Why?
Yeah.
But
that was weird.
It was weird, but even then, the shared glances was lovely. Just all of the Ezra isms were lovely. When Ezra thinks back not only to Kanan when reconstructing a lightsaber, but like it's the same igniter that he uses. That's lovely. I love the shared moments between Ahsoka and Sabine when they really start to bond. It's lovely, and people love to rag on the idea of fan service and stuff, but like legitimately, I think everything handled between Ahsoka and Anakin was handled with such care and love. You really felt Dave was bringing everything he's written for these characters from both Clone Wars and Rebels to the forefront of those couple of episodes, and it was great.
Episodes 4 and 5 of Ahsoka were incredible. Incredible episodes. I love the fight between her and Baylan on top of the rocks. And then, yeah, that whole episode 4 was great. The whole conflict of interest between Sabine, like, what does she do on the cliffs? That was incredible drama. But then episode 5, again, with Ahsoka and Anakin, fantastic. There's great stuff there. So that came afterwards was hit and miss, but again, Ezra was a really big bright spot, perfect casting from out of nowhere. And I loved everything with Ezra. And hopefully Ezra has some good stuff in the future because he's a great actor and a great continuation of Ezra's legacy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't sing enough praises for Shin and Baylan. Just incredibly great original characters. I wish they had better arcs this season, but just their creation alone, I'm introduced to them in this season. It was great.
We were loving everything about them until they reached the new galaxy.
Yeah, then it's like, hold mystery,
up.
mystery.
Although I will also say real quick that like I have been praying that if ever they did Thrawn live action, that they would get Lars Mikkelsen to do it, because he just, I always fucking say, he already basically played Thrawn in Sherlock Series 3, and he's phenomenal there, and he didn't disappoint in bringing his character to live action. It was perfect.
It was very perfect. You're right. And the score is brought back a little bit here as well. So yeah, you're right.
Kiner's score altogether was great.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Kiner's score really was the beating heart of Ahsoka this season. It was the first time going into a live action for Kiner, I think.
Yeah. The great with Bad Batch.
Yeah. So Kiner is just continuously putting in great work out Lucasfilm. I will always sing his praises because he's still underrated.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yes, you're right. Ahsoka, even though I had some mixed thoughts on it, I think Shin, Balin, Ezra, Ahsoka Sabine, great casting across the board, great moments too. So yeah, that's about it.
Need more Zeb.
Exactly.
I'll put that under the Mando season 3 praise.
Yeah. We did see him. Yeah.
Yeah. But that being said, Evan, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter at HarrisEV9. Watching anime. I'm trying to make my best of the list. Trying to make my best of 2023 list for movies. I just saw Poor Things today, finally, which I loved. It was bizarre, weird. I'm gonna tweet out my reaction after this episode, because I just needed some time to think about it. It was just crazy, but also beautiful at the same time. Really
the
loved
things
it.
I've seen, things I've done.
I'm seeing Aquaman tomorrow. Seeing more movies on Christmas Eve, then Color Purple on Christmas. So I'm trying to get to 100 movies this year. I'm going to make it. I'm at 93. All I need is 7 more before the end of the year.
You got time. You do at least one a day and you'll make it.
Exactly. So I'll be fine. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, it's been a great year for movies and anime. So I'm always tweeting about that as well. So yeah, follow me there at HarrisEV9.
You can follow me at _TimeBlazer. Making a show called Time Blazer with creative consultant and co-star Evan Harris.
Hell yeah, playing Ben.
A Ben who will hopefully have a better fate.
Oh wow, that's dark.
It is. But hey, this show can also get dark. So, if you're intrigued, check it out. Superheroes, horror influences, it's fun. So that being said, if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe now, already. Ring the bell so you miss future Hyperspace Hype 2024. Lots to cover. It is the year of the Acolyte, yes?
Year of Acolyte. No Andor season 2, unfortunately, but yeah, Acolyte. I think we should do a looking forward to 2024 stream as well, because there's a lot of stuff to look forward to as well.
That could be like a full blown theorized episode as well.
Yep.
But yeah, that being said, hope you guys have a great day. May the force be with you always.